right side here. And once we're done under the tent, we are going to go to the mobile stage and the Stageline mobile stage and check out all the features. So, thank you.
I don't know if this one's working. It's working. Yeah. Hey, good morning, guys. First of all, Mike, thank you very much for the invitation and all the organization with the conference. I mean, you guys are really doing a great job. We appreciate it a lot. We also appreciate that you're doing this in February in Florida because it's freaking cold back home, and definitely love the hot weather. So we'll start off by presenting ourselves very quickly because we just did that this morning. So I'm Pierre Oliver, sales manager at Stageline, with Pierre-Luc, who's our COO, and Sebastian, who's one of our engineers, and he's actually in charge of our technical service department. So we're here today to basically present you briefly what we do, what we've been doing for 35 years. We basically operate in Montreal, Canada. We have built over 1,000 stages across 35 years. We've got from smaller stages to very, very large. Yeah, I guess we want to present the models first of all. And the smallest one is the SL75. Yeah, maybe you can jump into. Oh, actually, yeah, session outline very quickly. So we're gonna talk quick history about Stageline, our stage models. Then we're gonna go. We're gonna dive into like stage provider responsibilities, what we feel like we all need to feel accountable for when you're on site. Then stage manufacturers' responsibilities, what we feel accountable in front of you guys. And design and engineering, Sebastian's gonna touch on that. And I think the most interesting portion of our session is definitely the event industry challenges we are currently facing and that we will be facing for the next few years. So let's start off by presenting all of our models. The SL75 is our smallest stage, 20 by 16. You can pull it with a 3/4 ton pickup truck. Then we've got the SL100, probably our flagship model. Everybody knows what's an SL100. I mean, we've sold that stage in 50 countries. It's a 24 by 20. I mean, your clients will know maybe what an SL100 is, and they'll ask you what kind of PA system you can provide. They won't ask any question. They know what to expect. It's a very reliable piece of equipment. The 260, great touring machine. I mean, it's built in steel. You need to, pull it with a semi-tractor. I mean, we've been doing all the Olympic torch relay since 1996 in Atlanta. We've sold some in Tokyo for the last Olympics, and we didn't sell any in China. And we didn't, and we don't want to. So then we're jumping into, oh yeah, by the way, the 260 is a 32 by 24, can be extended easily to 32 by 32. We also have a covered wing option when you're doing larger productions. The SL320, when you jump into an SL320, obviously you have more like national acts playing on it. I mean, it's very rider friendly. The stage is, this model has been around for probably 20 years now. Very, easy to set up, takes about 3 hours, depending on obviously production. Then we've decided to design something in between our 320 and the SAM 575. Probably overkilled the design a bit on that one, but we came up with the SAM 450, which has a 66,000 pounds of rigging capacity. Footprint is 44 by 38 on the SAM 450. We launched that right before the pandemic, so that was great. Right after winning an award for the newest technology of the year and at the Parnellies and at NAM. So that was. So we went with a smooth first year on the SAM 450, but now we have 5 or 6 that are built and running across North America. Then we jump into the SAM 575. this is our 50 by 40. Very very rider friendly, and has 94,000 pounds of rigging capacity, 12,000 pounds on the cantilevered fly bays for video wall. This stage was designed. I mean, it was designed what 6-7 years ago. So we've redesigned the Sam 555 to make it beefier. We were seeing like obviously our industry was asking for video walls on larger stages, so we did that with and designed this great equipment that can handle like very very high winds, 150 miles per hour, and that's really what people are asking for when doing these larger events. And then we've got the big boy, the Sam 750. It's a 70 by 50 footprint. You can obviously, we're always doing covered wings with this one. We've got 28 by 40 covered wings on both sides. 200,000 pounds of rigging capacity. Just to give you an idea of how big that stage is, you can actually fit 23 SL100s fully open in that performance area. And you can pretty much rig 20 SL100s in that roof. So, yeah, it comes in 7 trailers, 5 of which are, incorporated into this big, massive stage. A real piece of engineering. It's a great stage. Sebastian is, lead tech on this one. And Sebastian's pretty much a jack of all trades at Stageline, so he does it all. Yeah, that's pretty much it for. We've got 3 units running across North America. We did Metallica 10 times last year on that stage. It's your A-list bands that are going on it. So, yeah, let's jump into. Go ahead.
Well, just curious to see if any of you guys have any questions on the stage models before we keep pushing. Like we have a 100 here. We obviously cannot bring our entire line of product, but happy to open to some questions and give PO a break here from talking for a second. Becky has a question. Is there a mic in the or just yell it? Yeah. No, I was not aware of that. But so he charged 10 times. What did he charge? Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's kind of not a question, but it's a good. I was not aware of that. We actually encourage people to go through their local engineering firms to get certification and inspection on their product, simply because it's hard to keep up with the demand in regards to like helping you out with the inspection process, right? Well, it was never a guideline given by us, so we can have a sidebar conversation about that, and I'll talk to Bill Gorlin, who's head of McLaren, and we can have a sideline conversation about that. So another question, go for it, Becky. Yeah.
We
Yeah, I can go on that. Yeah. Every trailer in the U.S. that is over 26,000 pound has to pay an excise tax fee on it. The way we break it down on our invoices is we actually lower the value of your purchase to detail the value of the trailer only, so the transport equipment. So therefore, the IRS will charge you on that value. So yeah. So what do you mean by leak, though, Becky? Yeah. Well, so you basically save 4 years of not paying your tax, but yeah, no, we do not include the excise tax in our purchase price or our sales price.
Well, we cannot, because as a Canadian corporation, we cannot collect that tax. So, and obviously,
You mean delivered to the U.S.? Cool. So I guess Becky's question is, yeah.
well, we're never gonna. Well, I mean, we're,
50 grand, you said?
it's not 50 grand. It's really a more like 3,500
It's 12% of the trailer price.
of the
correct.
trailer portion.
Yeah. Well, we
No.
can have again a sideline conversation. I
No.
guess the question is, do you have to pay the excise tax on a trailer purchase? So the answer is yes for SL260 and above, and it's a U.S. regulation for trailers that are over 26,000 pounds. It is not detailed and included in the purchase price when you buy from us, and we actually break down the invoice for the trailer value in order to not pay 12% on the full purchase price. Let's call it, let's say $300,000 purchase for whatever, like a 260. It's not 12% of 300. It's 12% of the trailer portion,
Which is about like 50.
which is about $55,000 ish, and then it's 12% of that amount.
Actually, it's
So-
45% of that, because we've settled with the IRS like back in 2014 after getting charged for
Any-
it. Anyway, it's.
I
mean,
guess,
we
Rich,
can,
you
we
got a
can-
question?
and- exactly.
Wouldn't matter if you bought from a U.S. corporation or Canada for an imported trailer, you have to pay. But as you said, you can negotiate it down.
Yeah, I negotiated it down, but originally, yeah.
But what I agree with, which I have a long-standing relationship with you guys, is it is something that should be told to the customer that there will be this tax and you should look into it. Because the problem wasn't the tax. The problem was 7, 8 years later, the penalties on top of the tax because I wasn't aware of the taxes. And I'm over it. It's a long, but I mean, I do believe that that's something that you should be keying your clients into, that there is this excise tax. Because most us mere mortals who have never imported a trailer from out of the country really don't know that. So.
And essentially, it's a 21-page act, and your part is actually 3 lines. That's it. So it's mostly pipeline, oil, distribution, and that. But if you had a dealer in the U.S.,
It would have to be charged up front, and I believe the Apex guys are actually detailing it on their invoice. I don't know if Jeff or someone else from Apex is around.
But you still would be responsible for the tax even
Yeah.
if you had a U.S. dealer.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it would still be your tax because you would be the first. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
you know, but I was just saying, if you had a dealer,
Well, it's a good suggestion, and we can actually detail it out on a documentation. Yeah, it's great.
What we've been doing, and I mean, Rich can totally agree to that. I mean, when you bought your 260 2 years ago, we had this conversation. Like, it's something that we're addressing and we're making our clients aware of when they're buying a 260, a 320, any trailer that are over 26,000 pounds. I mean, really, as a trailer manufacturer, I mean, everybody's going to need to pay tax at some point, right? And we're not making the laws on that one. The IRS are doing it. And I told Rich, well, you can expect to pay 12% on that trailer portion, and the IRS have been pretty good at collecting it lately. So I mean, this is what's going to happen. I mean, we did the same thing on our trailers. So okay, I guess we can close that one and we can have a chat. But yeah.
Hey, Becky, come up here. You can't hear her? They can't hear you.
Wow, that's the first thing. First I've heard that. Okay, so my other question is, because you have to our Stageline technician certifications, the person certification, not the stage. Have you thought of doing like a Zoom or a webinar? Because I know with travel, it's been difficult to get, and you always pick a weekend when it's, if we can't get there, it's tough. But we want to get more of our folks trained. And then my other question is would you be interested in looking at like the OABA, which does all those type of certifications, and NARSO in the U.S.?
What's the name of the?
Okay, OAB is the Outdoor Amusement Business Association, and NARSO is it's like ASTM, but it's a certification program, and they have lots of classes. They have them like once every 3 months. So if you just like tagged along on the back end of it, then it'd be easier for us to get our guys.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I would be open to having that conversation and to look into it for sure. We do have a training camp, Stageline training camp in the springs, called it spring training. We also conduct a lot of training session throughout the year. And we have a bunch of trainers that are on the road full time in the U.S. at all times. So to answer your question, it's a mix of solutions to address your question or to your challenge. And we are looking at enlarging the service offer. So open to that, yeah, for sure. There's like insurance regulations that have to be looked into and a bunch of the other details, but totally. Anybody would like to grab the mic from Becky and do you guys have any other questions on the product? We haven't talked for years, Becky. It's good to see you. I missed you. Very cool. So, sir.
Between your different stages, what are the trim heights for flying on your wings?
Which model are you?
Just go down the line as they get taller. Between a 100 to a 260.
Do you know them all by heart?
I absolutely don't know them all by heart, and I think I mean I don't know, Mike. I think we. Yeah. I think we can.
Well, we can turn it around to the owners in the room and ask them. So I know the 100 is about 14. It's not all like perfect measurements. It's like 14.6 inches on the 100, and it goes all the way up to 52 on the 750. I know the big ones because that's the one I'm working with all the time. So the 750 is 52 trim from the deck. You're at 30 low steel on the 575, 26 on the 320, and 19 on the 260, 14.6 on the 100. So I think we're getting there. And 75 was 75?
We're about like 10.
12?
12.
Yeah.
It's an inclined roof, so probably like 9-ish upstage and then 12 downstage.
And I didn't get your name, but it's all really nicely detailed in all of our technical drawings, and we have that information around at our stage out there, so we can actually go through the details.
And actually, like while we're at it, all this information is on our new website. We've redesigned our website. It was during the pandemic, and we made all this brochure and technical information available online. So
I guess we should jump to
Hello. Okay.
jump to the challenges.
One other question in regard to that. We used a 260 just recently, and we went on the website, got all the specs.
Yeah.
And one of the things we found out when we got there is because the lighting rig they hung on the front line, it reduced our weights between the lighting rig and the banners.
Between the lighting rig and the banners.
And the banner being up there, yeah.
So, the rigging on the fly bays, the fact that you add the banners will reduce your rigging capacity.
Yeah.
Correct. It's all nicely detailed as well in the rigging
Yeah,
plan
yeah.
if you read through it.
there's a few
Obviously,
rigging
you never know
restrictions.
what's going to be. The banner's going to be till you get there. That's one of the problems you always get.
Good point. Good point.
What do they want to put up?
Cool. So another part of our session we wanted to talk about is like the industry challenges that we are all facing and that like are part of our reality at this point. And I think we're opening with a small video of something that happened nearby. We kind of don't really need to hear the sound of it, but that's beside one of our 750, and it's a large GoPro structure that collapsed during Rolling Loud Festival in Miami this past year. So that's kind of the opening to the next slide and talk about what we are seeing out there in the field on our end. Stronger winds, unpredictable weather, and also the correlation of that with larger LED screens that are also getting lighter, cheaper, more affordable. And I'm pretty sure that, like by a show of hands, all of your clients are asking for larger video on all of your stages. Should it be backdrop, side screens? Yep. Which is great. Great for our business. It's more product to rent. But it's also a huge impact on the wind exposure that we're getting. And we're taking LED products that are sometimes designed to be used outdoors, sometimes not, and installing them on our units and our stages. So by a show of hands, anybody had challenges with that in the past years? Yeah, Rich in the past, Apex guys as well. And we have a good example today, actually, of like a Florida weather with like winds. And I know the Apex guys have, you got some screens on your stage right now. And the challenge is, how do you secure them in high winds? And I think that's one of the big things that we will all be facing moving forward, is to figure out a solution on how do we brace these structures? Can we really remove them rapidly in case of weather, or can we not? I know when we get to the 750 or the 575 and we have, we're doing shows with screen size of like 30 by 45, and you go see the video guy and you say, hey man, we got weather coming. Can we take this down? And he's like, yeah, well, I can trim it down 4 feet and land it on your deck, but I really don't want to land it because it's going to cost me $5,000 in tile repairs. And so that's a challenge that we are facing all the time on our stages. We will actively be working on figuring out a solution. It's going to be also like a collective solutions that we will all have to jump in and implement moving forward, because that will be a trigger for incidents in our business. Another thing that I like that kind of bridges with Becky's question, COVID did a lot of damage to our industry. I don't know if you lost some employees that actually bailed to go work in some other industry, construction or whatnot. So we're going to see a shortage. That's what we've been seeing last year. Shortage of qualified personnel working on our events. No more stagehands. We show up on sites and there's no more stagehands to support us in the build process. So the importance of training moving forward and to opening more training session, to answer Becky's point, is going to be crucial in the upcoming years. And we'll be working on that. Where was I going? Structural inspection, an older structure, again, meeting Becky's point. We've been doing this for over 35 years. The Century guys have been out there for 40 some years. We see a lot of structure that we visit in the field that are getting rusty, basically getting to a point where they have to be put out of commission. And this is something that we will be seeing more and more, and that will have an impact on our industry. So therefore, putting some emphasis on the importance of inspection and maintenance for our products. And yeah, that's basically it. And I don't know if you have any questions on that, Jeff.
Forgive me if I missed this. I kind of come up late.
Yeah, no worries.
Would you be comfortable sharing the challenges that you faced in 2021 in terms of the COVID that may have been distinctive from the challenges that we faced in the U.S. in terms of Were there extra challenges or additional challenges that we may not have been aware of in terms of keeping your production going in terms of restrictions? And have you touched on this? If you have, forgive me.
No, we haven't, and it's a good point.
And I'm not asking for any insight, and I'm not trying to stick my nose where it don't belong, but I heard that
it's
you
fine.
guys faced actually some more challenges in Canada than we did in the U.S., and it was a nightmare in the U.S. Would you care to share any of that?
It's still a nightmare for us, and it's actually great to be here in Florida because it feels like we're liberated a little bit, right? So we're still under a pretty severe lockdown. I guess the major impact that COVID brought on our operations, well, I mean, it's already been 2 years now. It feels like it's been 20, but the first year was really tough with the border crossing, and then our guys had to quarantine when they were coming back. So it had a huge impact on our operations in regards to the amount of personnel that could transit from Canada to the U.S. That has been solved for the past 14 months. But the biggest impact we have is the disruption on the supply chain and getting the material, getting some parts that are needed for our production. And it's been literally crazy to a point where we're now stacking almost 24 months of production ahead and like renting more space just to store material to be able to sustain demand on production. So I'd say that this has been the biggest impact, and I think the Chinese are messing with us by closing the ports, and I think they're doing it on purpose, but that's just my personal opinion. So so that's about it, Jeff. Yes. No, it's fine.
On your MSR, so interesting, because we've had the ups and downs with the COVID, and
Yeah.
how are you handling your cancellations of your contracts and refunds?
It's been a variation. That's a good question. The question is cancellation due to COVID on the rental agreements. It varied because we try to work with our customers throughout the start of the pandemic and to work with our clients. Really now we're taking a stance that COVID is no longer a force majeure situation, and like we're putting back our cancellation policies as they were beforehand. Getting the deposits. The deposits are no longer refundable in case of COVID cancellations. And, well, I guess we're all in the same situation. We're all overbooked. We're looking at 2022 going, oh, my God, this is going to be crazy. So I don't see why, if it cancels, you'd have to kick back the money. I guess it's a personal decision, but right now we're kind of holding our ground. Are we all in line with that? That's the question she has. Is everybody in line with keeping their deposits? I
No
am. am. No refunds. No refunds.
Rich, you had a question?
All right. Cool. That's it. That's it. That's it. We got another question. Yeah.
Hey guys, Paul Cosell with Summit Group. I appreciate you guys going into a brief overview of your concerns with the video wall situation. And I think we can all agree that a failure for one of us is a failure for all of us if anything happens. So this is an industry-wide thing. It's not a product thing from which manufacturer, because it just hurts us all. So, I mean, you're going to hear later some of the stuff that Apex is doing to try and mitigate that. Yeah. You briefly touched on it. What are some of the things you guys are doing to try and help that situation as we move forward? Because I think that's good for all of us to know.
Yeah, totally. So we're. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So the failure was a goalpost. And it was good friends of mine as well. So we're not naming any names. We're not pointing fingers, and it was not wind related as well because it was a perfect sunny day with no wind. It's just to outline an example, to make an example of the impact of such a failure is basically why I use that as an example. So what we're doing is we're steering away from any cable methodology that would transfer a lot of vertical loads to your structure, and that also multiplies the impact. So it's the same principle as a bridle on a stage, but put vertically with a screen. So we're going instead with vertical trusses that are ballasted front and back, and that will take that load, that wind load, and transfer it horizontally to the structure instead of adding vertical load to the roof. The challenge is not every screen can actually take those sort of bracing in the back.
So that's where the challenge come. And all of us as staging provider do not necessarily have a say on what will be utilized on your product, right? If you're providing the stage. So it becomes a much broader conversation with all the AV suppliers out there that are not necessarily staging provider, and to educate them and to also educate the promoters on the importance of that. So that's what we've been doing on our larger units. But on the smaller stages like the 100s, for example, you don't necessarily have the capability of having those vertical trusses, so you have to land it. But at the same time, those screens being smaller, it's something doable, right? So it's all about avoiding the vertical extra load to the structure is the key to the solution. The magic thing is if you could make them disappear in case of bad weather, but we all know that's like, it's a magical thought, right?
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. So we're not gonna do a demo, but we're gonna be there all day. So you guys like swing by anytime, come see us at the stage. We'll be hanging around, and it would be lovely to chat with you all. Open to any other questions as well. Tom Wilson has a question.
I'll make a comment on your supply chain issues with not being able to get parts and manufacturing
Yeah.
capability and everything else. The company that I'm using to manufacture my Great Lakes stage, my background is in automotive, and I learned about contract manufacturing, so I don't have the manufacturer. I contract people to do it really, really well. They were going to be here today. It's J&K Manufacturing in Michigan, and they wanted to come to represent their manufacturing capability for guys like you and guys like you to get into that. Their expertise right now is in making radar arches for these boats. So all that stuff you see above deck, that's what they make, and they're really, really, really good, and they're looking to expand those capabilities. So if anybody, including you or Apex or anybody else, is looking for manufacturing capability in aluminum, and steel, and fabricating and machining, come see me, and I'll hook you up with them.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. No more questions? Mike?
Any more questions? Anyone? All right, how about a big round of applause for Stageline? Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it.
Mic drop.